A little longer. Okay. It's now recording. So this is Thursday. What's the date actually? It's Thursday, the 22nd of February. Martin Fowler's Crown. It's 3 o'clock Kenyan time, and I guess that's noon Nigerian time, if I'm not wrong. Welcome to the afternoon / noon Scrum. And you okay? You said you're listening in?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'll skip you. Let me go over to Getty. Give me a report.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Can you
Hi.
hear me? So I'm still working on tests, how to write cucumber tests and RSpec. That's where I am right now. Not much that I'm working on. Still on that volunteer opportunity issue. Actually, Sigu assigned me to know how to write tests while I'm still on that issue. So that's what I'm working on right now. Yes. No blockers.
Thank you. That was short and nice. Actually, she's not even working right now. There's no power, so most of the laptops are either going off or they're already off. I can move over to controller. Controller report.
Okay, hey guys. So today morning we did some katas. Yesterday we had a Ruby meetup where in the Ruby meetup we were doing some TDD, writing the test files, then the program later. Then today we are working with Musa on the issue of trying to use the time picker for choosing both the events and the event's time and date. Yeah, so we are currently working on that. No blockers. Yeah, I think that's it. And also, I'm also looking on Python, working with MySQL in Python. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so when you say working with MySQL in Python, are you working with a particular framework?
Okay, I'm just using Flask for now. So using Flask with MySQL.
All right, so using Flask with MySQL means that there's probably something like an ORM, object relationship mapper. Like in Rails, we normally have active record, which is an ORM that enables you to work with databases. So active record is an ORM in Rails. You can connect to databases using that. So I guess in Flask and maybe, how do you call it? Flask and Django, there's an ORM for that. Yeah. I guess there's a ORM for Python frameworks. Okay, and in Ruby we usually have there's one ORM called data mapper, and the default one for Rails is called active record. Okay, so we have the active record. We normally have active record the pattern and active record the gem, and the gem happens to be the data mapper. Okay, too confusing stuff. Let's talk about that later on. If anyone is interested, you can talk about that after the scrum. All right. Stella requested that she'll be listening in, so we'll move over to Musa.
Hi guys. Today I just be listening in.
You've been listening in. There's nothing much you've done since morning. Anything to report?
Okay, most of the things that we've done together, so it has been reported. Like Kevin has said, what we are doing, get us also given a report, and part of our report entails everything that we are doing this morning.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll be assuming that the block I had yesterday was sorted out, kind of.
Not really. Yesterday I said I was having a problem with a project which I'm working on, how to use the Bootstrap model to make the sign-up form and the login form to reveal in any page that I want to put them. So still that problem, I'm trying to figure it out, but I think I will get help from Segu or Kevin
Or anyone else.
or anyone else who wants to help me.
So next we can have Miss, and just before she gives her report, I think it's probably a loading error on the JavaScript, because you should be able to. It's actually triggered by JavaScript when you do that. So if the JavaScript is correctly loaded, are you using Rails as a framework?
Yes.
So it's probably the problem. It's probably a problem on how you're loading the JavaScript. That might be the issue. So we might have a look at that after this. I'm on 27% charge, so I'm not sure.
I think my main problem is where to put the partial which I'm loading, the exact folder where I'm supposed to put it. Because Rails has several folders. So exactly in the app for the views folder, where am I supposed to put the partial which I'm supposed to reveal in a specific page? That is the main problem.
Okay, I got that. So let's have a look at that immediately after this. All right. Okay, so move over to Misa.
Hi. Okay. Today I was looking at something that is outside coding, and I was looking at communicating in, especially in a professional environment, how to write work emails and how to communicate with your colleagues. Yes, so that's what I've been doing. Since afternoon, in the morning, I was doing katas with my colleagues, Getty, Controller, Musa, and Siku. Yes, that's it for today.
Okay, thank you. So I'll assume you do not have any blocker.
Right now, no, I don't have any.
All right, thank you, Lucy. Who else? No other person to give a report. So morning hours, what did I work on? I was doing week one content for what the students will be learning. So I've been writing that, yet to export them out to PDF and HTML so that you guys possibly help me on the review, correct some typos and things that are not making sense. That should be maybe next week. So I know, okay, if just in case you're not aware, we're planning to start code school in Kisumu. So that's a preparation that, that's a preparation that I'm currently doing.
Is it for a particular age or for everybody? Like everyone?
It's for anyone who is in their probably above 18. Yeah, probably above 18. Yes, and we don't have a maximum. So anyone, even the 60-year-olds, anyone interested can join us. We're free and we accept anyone. Yes. Then after working with the content, the rest of the report they've given, working on the code was 2 code was. Then after lunch, I was doing some official stuff, communicating to some clients. Then we have this Scrum. After this Scrum, I'll be helping Musa out. I didn't mean to messing him out, but helping Musa out. Then if the power doesn't come back, then I'll just leave and go back home. What else? Now I can talk about, that's the end of the Scrum unless someone forgot something. All right, it's officially the end of the Scrum. I cannot talk about the active record I was talking about. So let me share my screen and explain this. Just think it's an interesting thing to learn. ORM. Let's start with an ORM. ORM, object relational mapping. Here it is. So an object relational mapping is you take anything that you have in computer science. When you take how will I put it? Let's say you have a user on the database. Okay, the user is stored in tables. Now, if you take that table, if you take the attributes from the table and create an object out of it. Okay, let me read this, then try and explain. It's a technique for converting data between incompatible type systems. Exactly. So you have it in the database and you want it as an object in your system. So an ORM enables you to do that. So if you have data in MySQL and you want to work on it as an object, then Active Record allows you to do that. That's what we have mostly used to. So Active Record. Active Record. So we have the active record pattern. There's a pattern called active record. So the active record is a pattern found in software that stores in-memory objects in relational databases. So a pattern is how something is usually done. So back in 2003, Martin Fowler came up with the patterns that can be used to do such things. Actually, I don't know if you realized this particular Scrum is usually called Martin Fowler. So this is the Martin Fowler that the Scrum is named after. So he came up with the active record pattern inside this book. Now, DHH in 2005, when he was developing Ruby on Rails, he followed the active record pattern, created a library, which in Ruby is called a gem, and called it active record. So it's a coincidental name. It's a gem using the active record pattern, and it's called active record. Okay, I guess that has now made sense. Okay, I can see people nodding their heads. Approval, disapproval. All right, so that's it for ORM active record. And let me share it once more and talk about examples of ORMs. Let's see. Active record, ORM. Let's see if I can have an example of ORM here. So this happens in any language. It's not necessarily in Ruby. It's usually called a data mapper. It's a gem, I think. So there's also a gem called data mapper that is an ORM. Here it is. Data mapper is an ORM written in Ruby, object relational mapper written in Ruby. The goals are to create ORM, which is fast. SQL Alchemy. So in Python, Misa is saying it's called SQL Alchemy. Okay, so that's the ORM for Python. Okay, is it tied to a particular framework or? Oh, it's just an ORM. Okay, so all right. Unless there's any other question. No other question. So that's officially the end of this call. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, Enioke, for joining. Thanks, Stella, and thanks to the whole crew for joining us.
All
talk
right.
to you guys later. Oh, and Enioke, sorry, I'll be looking at your pull request. Did you delete the file or you deleted the content of there and is left? So I'll contact him on Slack.